Hello, everybody. We're back again for another episode of Today and Tomorrow in Scottsdale with Don Henninger. I'm Don, and joining me, as always, is my podcast partner and community sommelier.
Oh, yeah. I like it.
Kevin Maxwell.
Hey, Don. How are you?
I'm good, man. You know why I called you sommelier?
Yeah.
Because we have two of our favorite topics today.
That's right.
Wine
And
philanthropy.
yes.
The way they go together, we're
Right.
going to find some really cool stories
With the
today.
Scottsdale blend, right?
Scottsdale, that's what makes Scottsdale so cool. Because
Right.
people like Kristen Shroyer, who is the founder and works now with the OneHope Foundation. You also live in Scottsdale, and you also happen to be chair of the Scottsdale Unified School District Foundation. So you're well connected in Scottsdale for sure. So Kristen, welcome. Great. It's a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Well, thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here.
Yeah. So OneHope is a direct-to-consumer winery with a twist that empowers its customers to share wine and give hope to the people and causes that matter most to them. That's really a cool deal. And today, here's what's really impressive to me is OneHope has donated over $10 million to over 40,000 nonprofit organizations. Those are mind-blowing numbers. How does that all work? How did that all come together? What gave you the idea for this in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, wine is a cool product. It brings people together. You naturally share it with your loved ones. So we just thought, why not give back with this bottle? But it's kind of a fun story how we all started. I'm a fourth generation Arizona native. My dad was born and raised in Scottsdale. His dad was born and raised in Scottsdale. And then his dad homesteaded land like in North Peoria area. So
No kidding?
Yeah. So
those
family's
roots go deep, man.
Yeah, they definitely run really deep. So born and raised in Scottsdale. I went to Cochise, Cocopah, Chaparral, the three
great.
C's, which is
Right.
why I'm now part of the SUSD Foundation
Yeah.
board.
Yeah.
But it was, I grew up in a household where my parents, they loved wine. And they would always let me, sniff a little bit, maybe as I got a little bit older, sample a little bit. And so I don't know why, wine just always fascinated me. They would drag me along to the tours. We go to, Temecula or Napa. And at the time, being a kid, going in a barrel room, it was pretty boring. But I was still, they talked to me about it all the time as a kid. And I, for whatever reason, I thought this would be a really cool job to work in the wine industry. And so in high school, I worked a lot in restaurants. So I worked at Houston's, Hillstone Restaurant Group. So
right.
I was a greeter there throughout high school, which was a really fun job. It was always so busy. And I would see these wine reps come into Houston's and they'd have a wine bag and they would sit at our biggest table and the table would just be filled with bottles of wine. And the restaurant manager would be sampling them and figure out which ones they want to put on the wine list. And meanwhile, I was looking at the kitchen manager who's stressed out of his mind, running all over, so I thought, okay, this looks like the better job
Right.
than that one does. And he's still going to be involved in the wine industry. And so I went to University of Arizona and my freshman year, there was a career fair and I saw that Gallo Wine Company was there recruiting and marched right up to the table as an eager 18-year-old. And I had my resume and everything. And then they realized I wasn't even 21 yet. And so he's like, just keep my information. We'd love to stay in touch, but maybe when you're old enough to work for us. So anyways, I kept in touch and I got an internship with them my junior year. Then senior year after I graduated, I started working for Gallo Wine Company out of college. And it was then that right away that I met my future OneHope partners. We didn't know it at the time, but we all met there because we were selling wine in grocery stores this is when cause marketing was really surging.
Mhm.
This would have been 2005. So we noticed selling wine in grocery stores, which is a very difficult job. By the way, it's if anytime you go to a grocery store and you see a massive wine display, just know that a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into that because we didn't only sell it, we would go there and merchandise it
I'll
too.
think of that differently next time I'm in the store for sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And so when you're a wine rep in grocery stores, you have to know everybody in the department. So I knew the deli guy, the produce person, the bakery lady who would always give us cookies and stuff, because you would always want to maybe take a section of their department to build a wine display or something.
Mhm.
But anyways, in 2005, October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we noticed so many things in the grocery store start having a pink ribbon on it, giving back to the cause, and different, big brands doing this. Some of them may be putting caps on what they'll donate. But the biggest aha for us was, number one, there was nothing in the wine aisle that was giving back. And then number two, at the end of the month, everything went back to business as usual when clearly this cause needs support. And so we just thought to ourselves, how cool would it be to have a wine brand that gives back and give back year round and have no caps on what they donate? And we did what most people do when they have a good idea, which is absolutely nothing. We just sat on it for a little bit. And then it was a couple years later.
Yes, ages like exactly. A good wine, right?
Yeah, but it's still in the back of our brain. And then it was a couple years later when our now CEO, he got a phone call from his close friend. At this point, we're 23 years old. And she was diagnosed with blood cancer. And he's like, hey, remember that company we always talked about starting? Well, I'm going to do it. Are you guys in? And at this point, we're all still working in the wine industry, but no kids, no mortgage. My parents were like, Kristen, you got to go for it and just do it. So we literally started selling wine out of the backs of our cars in Southern California. And that's how it all started. But we had 3 wines, a Chardonnay, a Cabernet, and a Merlot. Our Chardonnay supported breast cancer research, our Merlot supported AIDS research, and then our Cabernet supported autism research. And those were our 3 wines how we started.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, were you living in California at the time?
Yeah, I was living in California at the
so
time.
Even though you're from Scottsdale, you lived in California for a little while then?
Just for a little while.
For
but then
Gallo?
So I went to U of A.
Yeah.
And, after being in Tucson for 4 years, when somebody offers you to sell wine in Newport Beach, California, it sounds like it's very glamorous.
I'll do that right now.
I said, I'll do it. But then we were quickly put in our place. We were like living in grocery stores at 4 a.m. I didn't get to see much of the beach, but that's what brought me to California. But then it was early on. So we officially started OneHope in June 2007. And it was 2008 once we opened up distribution in Arizona. And at that point, when you're starting a company, it's not glamorous. You're not getting a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
Living in Southern California was not quite working for me. So my parents welcomed me back and I lived with mom and dad for a year. And that's what brought me back to Arizona in 2008. And then we started to open up more and more states distribution. And I was just living on airplanes a bunch. It didn't really matter where I lived. So I've been back in Arizona since 2008.
Wow.
So most of my life.
So what was it like working for Gallo? When you say Gallo, I thought maybe you were up in Napa Valley or something, but you were in Southern California.
I was in Southern California.
What was it like working for Gallo? What did you do for him? What was the job?
Yeah, so I was a sales rep in their grocery division. I specifically called on Ralph's grocery stores down there, which is our version of like Fry's, Kroger. And I would go in there with a box cutter and a feather duster. Like my route would start at 3 or 4 in the morning. Actually, I had a pretty good route because my first account was in that small little Ralph's in Laguna Beach, like right where the 133 hits PCH. And I would just go and say, hey, this brand's on your ad. Why don't we bring in some cases for it? I'll show up the next day and I'll build the display for you. So that was it. But it was a tough job because like I said, I started at 3 a.m.
Wow.
My roommate, who was my friend from U of A, she moved out with me. She had a normal job that was like 9 to 5. So she, everybody would want to go out to the bars and stuff at that age. And I said, no, I got to get up and work in a couple hours. So I think it was the nature of that job why we all connected because Gallo was really smart. They get kids right out of school, eager, ready to change the world. And then they give them that ridiculous start time. But you said, hey, I'm going to do it. But we all met. And that's what really bonded. It's crazy. There was 8 of us that initially started OneHope. And when people hear that we have 8 founders, they're like, that's crazy. But I think we just had this, we were so similar in like how we all started. And our purpose to change the world with wine has always been our North Star. So yeah.
You're doing it.
We're doing it. Yeah.
And you started, 23 years old when you were founding this thing?
Yes, which I think worked in our favor. I always tell people this because you're so confident at 23, like because we came from Gallo, we were trained by the world's largest winery. We were so confident. We thought it was going to be so easy. So sometimes that blindness and that being naive like that does work. I think it helped us. Sometimes I wish I had that person a little bit more sometimes to be like, who cares what people think? Like, just do it. Exactly. But we learned a lot over the years for sure.
Yeah. Well, so now what's your job at OneHope? What is your...
So now I oversee all of our giving, which is great.
Okay.
Because we do give 10% back of every purchase to causes chosen by our customers. We do a lot of really big giving initiatives as well. So, we are really putting our stake in changing education because we've all had teachers and educators that have changed our lives and eyes have really opened by seeing just how blessed we are in the U.S. and how there's, developing communities all over the world that don't even have schools. So been able to work with some great organizations like Pencils of Promise. We've built 3 schools and funded several more that are in the works. So just some great things like that. I personally got to go to a small village in Colombia a couple years ago and build an 8-panel solar unit for a school that doesn't have electricity. I was there for a week. I was sleeping in a chinchorro hammock, waking up to goats licking the back of my head. But that was an incredible experience. Not to only just see what school is like for these children. They have no electricity. So when the sun sets, literally you can't read a book. There's no electricity. So when you do turn on a light bulb for the first time and literally this whole village lit up, it was a really cool experience.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like UNICEF type stuff.
That's exactly right. Like the Peace Corps or something. Yeah, right.
But it's all done simply through wine. And there's the donations and the give back and all that. But just like we were talking about how wine brings people together, there's no way we could quantify just the great conversations that happening. We were talking earlier in the lobby how the world is so divided right now, our state, like just politics in general. And there is something special that happens when you share a glass of wine together and get through your differences. And
in this day and age, it might take a bottle.
It might, yes,
Yeah.
or several. And if you need
That's
that,
okay.
give me a call.
We're ready to do it. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
These are the stories that inspire us, Kevin. This is
Yeah.
why we do this podcast.
Yeah, well, I've known Kristen for a while, and I knew she was in the wine business, but suddenly I was reading something. When I saw that $10 million thing,
Yeah.
I'm like, she's not just selling wine. I mean, she's like having a huge impact. And I'm like, we got to get on the show.
And that's $10 million just in donations.
Right.
That's on, that's 10% of your revenue. So,
Yep.
so you got some serious revenue coming on board with OneHope now.
I mean, we've been around for 17 years. So, we've had good years and bad years. During the COVID years, that was kind of a crazy time for us because we do most of our business direct to consumer, which is, not like most wineries. Most wineries do a lot of it in the grocery stores, like back where I started. But when COVID hit, man, some states like the state of Pennsylvania, you can only buy your wine in state-run liquor stores.
Right.
And state-run liquor stores closed down. So
I'm from Pennsylvania. It used to drive me nuts doing that back there.
You got it.
Yep.
Yep. So in states
So you
like that,
benefited from COVID then?
we did and we didn't. We still sell our wine through restaurants and hotels. So that was really hard because we lost so much business there. But it was even more heartbreaking to see these great accounts, these great restaurants and people working there that were out of jobs or had to close their doors. But it was direct to consumer that really changed for us because a lot of people are just so used to buying wine in grocery stores. And we're so blessed in Arizona where we have great selection. But yeah, in places like Pennsylvania, you have to go to a state-run store. And so when they're like, oh no, we can ship wine directly to your doorstep. And Instacart was taking so long. So people's groceries were taking so long and we could get wine to people's doorsteps in a couple of days. So it was actually, it was good and bad, but mostly good just because we were set up to be able to deliver wine directly to people's doors, which it's difficult to do since it's alcohol and each state has its own set of rules and getting the licensing for that. But yeah.
I buy all my wine direct to consumer through the mail. Yeah. Through Naked Wine, which is really coming on strong. It's probably a competitor, I guess, right?
A little bit, but yeah.
They don't do what you're doing with the nonprofit stuff, though.
Right.
And then Brutico Winery, which I just happen to know Steve Brutico, who I golf with. And so I don't buy wine at the grocery store. It's all direct. I need to probably buy some wine through your organization now.
And you can pick whatever nonprofit. When you go to onehopewine.com, it's pretty cool. You just search. You can search, SUSC Foundation or whatever nonprofit you like to support, and 10%. And it shows how much you've collectively been able to raise through it. It's kind of like Amazon Smile, which no longer is around, but Amazon Smile was, because it's Amazon, it was a very small going back. So we're 20x the give back, and then there's no caps on what we donate, and it's across our site too, which is great.
Too, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it definitely adds up. And I love, for even like a small foundation like SUSC Foundation, every check matters.
Yeah.
So every purchase does make a difference.
So you've expanded quite a bit then the charities you support now, the original three, which is what, breast cancer and
exactly. And we
autism.
started adding, we had like a Sauvignon Blanc for the environment. We had a Zinfandel to support our veterans. And we started to add all these different wines, and we kept getting the feedback that's great that you support that. How can I support a cause that matters most to me? So that's how we just evolved to being able to let our customers pick where their purchase 10% goes back to.
40,000 different nonprofits now,
40,000 different ones. Yeah. And that's as overseeing impact. That's some of my favorite. Every month we get a report on all the checks that go out. And just to see, like, you can just pick a miscellaneous small nonprofit because there's so many incredible ones out there. I think I just found one. It was called, I think, Friends of Jacqueline. And it's a story of a girl that was battling cancer. And there was a local sports team, I think a high school team, that teamed up with her to help her fight it. And that's their mission now, is they team children fighting cancer with high school or college sports teams. And they all are each other's teammates. And it was just heartwarming stories like that.
Oh, wow.
There's so many cool
local,
nonprofits. I don't think it's local. I think it's out on the East Coast, but there's just so many stories like that. And then somebody held a fundraiser for that. That's how I found out about it. So people gathered and sipped on wine, and I learned about that cause and how they can further support it. That's what I love about it. It's bringing communities together, because I'm sure through this podcast alone, you guys have found about different causes that you didn't even know were out there.
Absolutely.
And then sharing it with your viewers too.
Tons.
Just like this one. Yeah. That's why we love doing this, because there's all sorts of cool stories of people like you doing great work for our community. And it's just nice to give you a little shout out once in a while.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So take us behind the company. So your wineries in Napa, right?
Yep. That was a big undertaking, because we I never thought we would actually have a place to like make our own wine. Because when we first started, we worked with a custom crush facility, which is what a lot of people do. So we went
I was
to
going to
this.
say, I thought I assume that's what you did. You know, do that?
Yeah, we have our own operation, which is incredible. So for the first 10 plus years, we did work with a custom crush facility. It was about actually 4 years into our business. We were pouring at the San Francisco Food and Wine Festival. Again, young, naive, 20-something-year-old kids. Everybody probably knew who this one gentleman was, but we didn't. And he came up to our table and he was really intrigued about what we were doing. I think he looked at our packaging and thought like, oh, they kind of need some help. And then he sampled our wine. He's like, oh, I could probably help out with this. And it turned out to be Michael Mondavi. And so the Mondavi family, I know, huge name. And his son, Rob Mondavi Jr. has really helped us with our wine production. And so fast forward a few years later after that, there was a 10-acre property available for sale in Napa. And if anyone that's been in Napa Valley, you know there's like one main highway, St. Helena Highway, Highway 29.
Yeah. Yep.
So this property was facing Highway 29, directly across the street from Cakebread on the west side of the highway, with like the best soil, like right off the Mayakama Mountain. It just was like this most epic place. We never thought we'd be able to get it. And then Jake, our CEO, was able to scrape together the right, investors to help us get it. So we bought a 10-acre property. I believe this was in 2015. And then over the course of the next several years, building an incredible winery and tasting room. So we do have a place to call home there.
That's great.
There's estate Sauvignon Blanc and Cabernet on the property that we make. It's 10 acres doesn't yield tons of,
It's not huge.
It's not huge, but it is great that and then we do source, we've got growing partners throughout Napa, California. We've done some even international wines too, where we've worked some international stuff there too. But it's a pinch me moment because when we first started OneHope at that time, I was working for Gallo in Napa and Sonoma, specifically at the Louis Martini tasting room, which is in St. Helena, just about quarter mile north of where OneHope's property is now. So I drove up and down that road all the time. Never in a million years believed that a couple of decades later, we'd be having a winery and tasting room there.
No kidding.
So yeah, but it's a beautiful spot. Yeah.
Wow. That's the epicenter, isn't it?
Yep. It's right there. So if anyone visits Napa, you can also go.
Tasty.
Tasting
room.
Yep.
I've done that several times. I'm due to do it again, but Sonoma and Napa I've been to a number of times. I love doing that.
It's beautiful up there.
So
and we're blessed in Scottsdale because we can be there. I mean, it's a 2-hour plane ride to Sacramento or Oakland and a quick
flying
drive.
Right to Santa Rosa if you want to.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. The Santa Rosa airport is awesome. That's a great one.
Get you right there to the wine right away.
It does. It does. Yep.
Which is great. So you've got a whole bunch of different programs. I mean, you have wine tastings, wine clubs and stuff like that. Talk a little bit about what people can expect if they dig in a little bit.
Yeah. So, I mean, just simply going to onehopewine.com, you'll see we've got tons of wines available. There's a lot of ways that you can give back just simply with your purchase. And it says right at the top of the screen, select your cause that you'd like to support. You can even host a wine tasting fundraiser in your home. We have a lot of representatives throughout the country that could come to your home. And we kind of like to we realize not everybody can go to Napa easily. So we try to bring our tasting room experience, to your home where you can have a fundraiser for your cause of your choice. Again, 10% of every purchase giving back to that. And then, of course, we have these wine reps across the country that help us do that too, that you can join that way as well. So, but I'm biased, but I do think our wine club is the best wine club just because you get all the great perks. We get giving back, free shipping, 20% off savings and all that too. So, and then you can visit us in Napa. So a lot of ways you can support OneHope.
Yeah.
So the direct to consumer business has kind of really taken off, hasn't it?
It has. Yeah. I mean, it's a kind of the Wild West. Well, we had a website. Even when I worked at Gallo, they didn't even have that much e-commerce business. It was mostly driven through grocery stores and their wineries and stuff. But yeah, it's definitely taken off. I think just direct-to-consumer shipping laws have changed very much in our favor. I think Arizona green-lighted just 5 or 6 years ago for us.
You're right, yeah.
So that was interesting. When we first started OneHope in 2007, we could legally ship to 4 states. We still had a website. We still shipped to those 4 states where we could. But as the years went on, we started opening up more and more states. Because we still are distributed the typical way through, 3-tier distribution, where whenever you could buy our wine, like say at Sauce Pizza and Wine, they sell our cab. They buy through our distributor, which is Southern Glaciers. So we're still sold that way. But selling direct to consumer, it's a great way to be able to, for our customers to access these smaller production wines that we normally don't distribute too.
So you can buy retail then, is that correct?
So we're not, because we do so much direct to consumer, we actually are not sold in retail.
No retail, okay.
We are sold in restaurants and hotels and places like that. So like our Sparkling Brutes at Topgolf, a lot of different restaurants and hotels throughout the country. But yeah, not available in retail.
So if Topgolf buys your wine, do they also could do the 10% thing for like
Yeah.
Topgolf is a company then too?
Yep. So whenever we sell our wine through our 3-tier distribution partners, we let our distributors, so like Southern Glaciers of Arizona, choose a nonprofit that they like to support. We like to give locally. So we work with St. Vincent de Paul Food Bank with every case that's purchased locally in Arizona through like 3-tier. But if you want to support your cause of choice, then just go to onehopewine.com and you can select it that
I'm
way.
going to do that.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm in.
Right?
Every time we have a guest, whether it's Waymo and then downloading Waymo, so we start riding on Waymo, now it's going to be, now I'm going to have to buy wine from OneHope.
Exactly.
Here you go.
You
And
know?
if you drink too much wine, just call a Waymo and you'll be fine. There you
I
go.
love it. Yeah. These podcasts are getting to be pretty expensive.
I know, exactly.
So the company's grown a lot too. So
Yes.
talk a little bit how many employees and you know,
Yeah.
what's the company behind this? Take us behind the curtain.
Absolutely. So we have a small office in Orange County since we do so much order fulfillment. We do a lot of customization. You'll see on our website, we have this really cool bottle called our Shimmer bottle, which it looks like it's like all glitzy and gold, silver, and pink. And so we can even custom etch those. So we have that office in Orange County. Of course, we have the winery and a pretty big team up there between the wine production team and just our hospitality team. We have roughly around 60 employees right now, which is great. And like I said, we have these wine reps across the country, which we have like right around 10,000 of these wine reps all across the country. And they're mostly women, which I love because when I first started in the industry, I was very commonly the only female in the room. And so
Really?
but women, as you guys know, love wine. We're the leading consumer and producer of wine. So it's cool that we've been able to educate so many people about wine, about the wine industry, and all that too. So it's a lot of fun.
What's your favorite variety?
I think it's because I'm born and raised in Arizona. I just love like a crisp white Sauvignon Blanc.
There you go.
Yes, that's like my go-to. Sometimes it's dangerous how fast it goes down on a hot day. But yeah, and we make off of our estate, so like estate-grown fruit, we make Sauvignon Blanc. And it's cool, we also make a Fume Blanc, which is Sauvignon Blanc made in oak barrels. And the Mondavi family was the one that like created Fume Blanc, which is really kind of a fun story about that. So it's kind of a fun homage to our relationship with them.
Yeah.
But, our estate Fume Blanc is probably my go-to. But it's our nicer wine. So sometimes if it's an everyday or a rosé, like a nice crisp rosé.
I think it's cool. So you were for Gallo out of college, and now you work for OneHope.
Yep.
You've always been. Have you ever worked for a Pizza Hut or anything like that?
I worked at Pizza Faro's in Scottsdale. Have
Oh,
you guys
no,
ever
so
been
I've been
there?
there,
Oh, yeah,
sure.
I was just a guest. Of
course,
Scottsdale Road in Mercer.
Yeah,
That was my
I've been there.
first job. Yes.
Okay.
And then
that's right. You told you worked for Houston's.
Yep. And then I went from
Right.
Pizza Faro's to Houston's. And
Okay.
then but pretty much mostly
Food and
wine.
beverage
My
business, no lie.
food and beverage. It's my happy place. I like to eat and drink.
That's great.
So,
Who doesn't?
I know, right?
Yeah. Ken,
Yeah.
what's your variety? Go to.
It used to be. I still love cabs.
Yeah.
I used to love Merlots, but when I went to Paso Robles, I got into the small grapes, right? So the Pinots are my thing now.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I used to like the hardy grapes. You really couldn't kill them,
Yeah.
and they could withstand anything. But now I'm kind of finicky. I like those little Pinot grapes,
Uh-huh.
and they're so flavorful, and I love them.
I'm with you on Pinot. I used to drink Merlot until the movie Sideways came out.
Yeah, right. Well, that's me
Now
too.
there's
Yeah.
no way. I'm not drinking any Merlot.
Isn't it funny what that did to Merlot? I feel like
really crushed it, didn't
it
it?
starts to make a comeback and then it goes down and then it starts to make a comeback. It's funny how
Did
there's
you-
trends.
Did you see a demand or a lack of a demand on Merlot after the movie?
Yeah, we definitely
Did you
saw
really?
that.
Did you really?
Yeah,
Had an impact on sales?
Yeah, for sure. Well, when we first started, the movie was kind of first coming out when Merlot was one of our first varietals, and we don't even have a Merlot right now. There
Is that
just
right?
isn't
Is that
even a
right?
strong
Sideways
enough
killed
demand.
Merlot.
Right.
I
yeah.
know, but if anyone knows that movie, at the very end he drinks a Merlot.
Yes,
like
he
that's
does.
his
Yeah,
the
I know,
fancy
right.
in the plastic
When he's having a
styrofoam cup.
hamburger. Yeah.
Yep. Uh-huh.
Right. I've been to Santa Barbara, the wineries up there, and I went to
Yeah.
a couple wineries where he took the tasting
Mhm.
bucket,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
drank from it.
Yep.
It's at Fest Parker Winery is where that one was.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
And that was it's so cool just to go retrace those steps.
Yeah.
If you're a wine lover, the Sideways is a heck of a movie.
Yeah, but in
It
Santa
is.
Barbara, they have those are all like Pinot grapes, right?
Yeah.
Most of them,
Pinot's
right?
big
Yeah.
in Santa Barbara.
Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause you have to go
Yeah.
to north to get the cab
Yep.
grapes and things like that, right?
Yep.
I
I know
go-
that's what's so cool with these wine regions is you could drive 20 minutes and it's
Yeah.
a totally different climate. And that's what makes it so special. And then Napa especially has all these different soil types. It has like the
Mhm.
world's largest collection of different soil types and stuff. So when you hear the winemakers talk about it, it's like, and how nerdy they get with it, it really is. That's what's so special about wine is it's so much work that goes into it. And right now it's harvest season. We just harvested our Sauvignon
Oh,
Blanc
that's
like
right.
earlier this week or a couple days ago. So it's a fun time in the wine
Do
industry.
you go up to the winery and visit much, especially at harvest time? I'd love to go, but that'd be a great time to go up, right?
I know that's what's hard is you never know when it's going to be, but that's what's really cool about having your own winery and your own winemaking equipment is because if you don't have that, you have to schedule to use somebody else's.
Oh, right.
And so you pick the grape, and sometimes the grapes are sitting there for a while until they can actually crush and stem them. So we can, as our winemaker says, literally catch lightning in a bottle. So as soon as you pick the grapes, they go right to the crusher and the destemmer. So I've been there once. I've timed it out good where I was able to be there once and it was so fun. But then another cool thing happened once I was up there with my two daughters who are both in Scottsdale as SUSD. Got to give another plug to SUSD schools. We went for a walk and we came back and Robin Davi Jr. does use some of our for his smaller lot wines. He'll use our wine equipment. And he was there with his two sons. And his two sons were just shooting hoops and playing basketball because we have a basketball thing there. And he's like, "Hey girls, you want to come over and make some wine with me?" And then because my daughters were, his kids kind of got to it. So he's telling them all about the yeast. And then he even made them popsicles out of the fresh pressed grape juice, not wine popsicles, but right out of the. And it was just so cool. And I don't think my girls they still don't even understand how cool of an experience that was. But it'll be a good story for their friends one day in college. Be like, "You see that wine right there? I made wine with him when I was 9 years old."
Oh, that's great.
That's good. It'd be so much fun being in the wine business. The culture up there. I mean, what a blast it would be just to be part of the wine industry up in there. You hear all the old stories of how all the wineries were born, the Gallo boys and the Mondavi boys. And it's just a cool climate culture up there.
It really is. Yeah. They work so hard. It's a farming community at the end of the day. It's agriculture. So everyone works so hard. And that's what's so fun. The end product is something everybody gets to enjoy.
So there was fires up there, 2 years ago, I guess, that really took a bite out of a lot of the vineyards up there. Did you guys suffer any problems with that? Or?
We were luckily okay, but it came really close. We joke sometimes with our timing with things with OneHope because we started June 2007. If everyone remembers September 2007, the economy went down. Right. So trying to get investment and stay afloat was just bad timing. And then when we were constructing this winery was when those horrible fires came. So my partner, Jake, was literally hosing down the property, just hoping that,
Is that right?
I mean, it came really, really close. And all it took was a big gust of wind with an ember. So just trying to keep everything wet so it didn't catch fire. And then when we completed our winery and opened our doors, it was August 2020 in the middle of a pandemic. And in California, it was open, close, open, close.
Yeah,
so it was it was scary. But we were actually able to pick our grapes. Actually, at the time, our winemaker's husband was a fire chief. And so she was kind of in the know. And it was all about, are the roads open? Can you pick the grapes? Can you get on the road? And we were, thank goodness, okay. So sad, a lot of homes in that area. I mean, the grapes can be grown again, but just some of these homes that have been around for so long, it was definitely hard times.
Well, apparently even some of the vineyards had problems with ash on the grapes.
Yes.
That ruined their whole harvest.
Yep.
Yeah, just for the ash from the fire. No fire, but just the ash from the fire.
And what was so sad about that was the farm workers who rely on the work to pick those grapes, because what happened is the ash was covering it and it wasn't even worth, they couldn't even pick it at that point. So you would just see vines, tons of vineyards with the grapes on them just falling off. Yeah. And so that was who was most impacted by those fires was our farm working community out there. No
kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Another amazing story, Kevin.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk about the foundation for a little bit.
Yeah.
That you and I serve on, right?
Absolutely. I'm a proud SUSD graduate, K through 12. Cochise Kokopah Chaparral. So I owe a lot to my teachers and my experience there for a lot of things I have today.
And your kids are experiencing it now?
My kids are experiencing it now, which is so cool. So, I was just, when I came back to Scottsdale, a friend of mine that I went to Cochise with, she was on the board at the time and she told me about it. And I wanted to join because I didn't even know about it. And I'm like, there's so many alumni I know that would love to support it that feel the same way that I do. Like Eva just joined our board and same thing. So I know I'm all about paying it forward and giving it back to the people that have helped me so much in my life. And my sister worked with SUSD for a long time as a speech language therapist. And then my mom actually worked at Cochise for a long time. Back in the day, they didn't have all day kindergarten, but they had extended day kindergarten. So kids would go to that portion for the second half of the day. So between my mom working there, my sister working there, and all the good it's given me, it's like I just wanted to pay it forward and support it. So really proud to be on the foundation board.
We're getting ready to do a new thing with the Entrepreneur Hub at Coronado. We're getting ready to start that. So you'll have like a little startup workspace place where entrepreneurs who are high school students can come
Oh,
and
very
pitch their
cool.
ideas and
Yeah.
kind of get some help and some support. It's going to be really, really cool.
You guys do great work.
Yeah.
No question. Giving back, you got the spirit of giving back, and it's playing off in all sorts of different ways, isn't it?
Yep, absolutely. So
that
if
is
there's
really
any
cool.
alum that are listening that you want to pay it forward, we're always looking for new board members,
That's right.
donors, corporate sponsors, anything, a way to give it back. Because it is, a lot of people think, oh, it's Scottsdale. They have enough money. And
Right.
no, that is not the case.
We know better than that.
Yes, you know
Yeah.
better. And you know that teachers don't get paid what they deserve. And
Mhm.
all the things that we need
Yep.
as much support as we can. So just really, really honored to be on that board. I've met Kevin and great people through that.
That's
And
fantastic. Yeah.
proud SUSD alum.
Well, that's great. And what great work you're doing on all sorts of different fronts.
Well, thank you. I love Scottsdale, and I'm really, even though we have the Napa Winery, people are always confused. They're like, "Oh, but you live out here," and I know I love Scottsdale
Kinda
so
cool.
much. I can be up there in an easy flight, but my family's here, all my friends are here. It's home to me. So
The only complaint I have about Scottsdale is not really Scottsdale, it's Arizona. Is I can't get wine shipped here in the summer
I know.
because
Yep,
it'll turn into jelly.
I know.
know?
I know.
Can't?
Not when it's this hot.
Really?
Yeah, not when
No.
it's this hot. We've done a lot of like trials with it. As long as you sign on your first delivery, you're usually good.
Yeah.
But that being said, if it's 120 degrees, no, you definitely don't want wine delivered. But we do have a happiness guarantee. So if there's ever a wine that's corked, we always send a new one. But yeah, as long as you get that first, because you have to sign for your wine in most
Yep, you
places,
do,
and that's a whole other thing.
Right.
Because you usually go to an office or things because you don't want to miss that first delivery.
Yeah, you don't. Well,
Yeah.
so I'll end up bulking up in the spring,
Yep. Mhm.
and then I'll
Mm.
bulk up again in the fall
Yep.
with delivery, so I don't have to worry about ordering it in the summer.
That's smart.
So I just wine drinking is serious
Yes,
business too.
It
Boy,
is. You
yeah.
don't
not
want to
just
run
wine
out.
buying, but wine drinking is a very serious thing as well.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to run out.
That's for sure. Well, Kristen, thank you so much for your time, all that
Thank
you're
you.
doing for communities overall, and Scottsdale in particular. And
Right back at you
Kevin,
guys.
thanks for discovering her on the board
Yeah.
and bringing her as a guest today. It's just been an awesome opportunity to get the chance to talk to you and find out what you're doing.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It's an honor to be here. Thanks for all you guys do for Scottsdale and
You
our
bet,
community.
you. And thanks to our listeners too. And we'll be back again next week with another really cool story on Today and Tomorrow in Scottsdale.